Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I love? Patreon.com/inkdependence, where patrons get access to a patron-only Discord, ad-free videos, and the joy of knowing they help support this channel. Hello folks, my name's Mike, this is Inkdependence, and I have an ink for you that comes in this fun little box. It says Ink Tells More and Bungubox. These are inks that are made for Bungubox, which is a store in Japan by Sailor Inks, and they are always pretty awesome. Let's take a look at this ink here. Comes in this cool bottle, and look how opaque that is. This is Bungubox Eternal Sunset. These are pigmented inks, and they come with this cool little high heel looking bottle here, and it came with this note. So this was given to me by a friend who got it and didn't want to deal with the pigmented ink, but they know that I would love it. So it says, thank you very much for your purchase. We're running a campaign to include a free bottle of our Eternal Pigmented Ink series with all purchases over 50,000 yen. This is your chance to try out our excellent pigmented ink, which is easy to handle and as vibrant as our regular inks. It says inks are designed to minimize clogging. Leaving this ink in your pen without use for a long time may cause clogging. Once filled with ink, we recommend you use this pen regularly to keep your ink flowing. Please note the ink may cause some minor staining on the inside of your pen. When using glass pens or dip pens, dip them in water after use. It becomes difficult to remove ink once they dry. So pigmented inks can be a little bit more persnickety than your regular dye-based inks. That said, I haven't had any problems with them, and I've had this ink in a pen for quite some time without any actual problems. So, let's take a look at what this looks like, in a pen, because this is pretty cool. There we go. Here it is on my usual Nebula casual note paper. And as you can see, Bungubox Eternal Sunset has that cool sort of pigment, like matte, shiny finish to it that you get from some of these inks. Also a little bit of a little bit of black where the pigment piles up, I think, which is kind of interesting in there. But it is a very nice looking red. It is kind of rich and shiny. Very pretty there. It's supposed to be pigmented. It's supposed to be waterproof. It's definitely pigmented. And I've had it in this Kasamatala for quite a while. I'd say the flow is pretty medium. I've had it in this pen, of course, which is at Kasamatala, and it is a fine nib on this one right here. And you can see a little bit of dried up ink here on the nib, but no staining or anything, obviously. And I went ahead and put in this Ultim pen because really Ultim is very difficult to stain, and if it does, you can just use rubbing alcohol and soak it if you need to. But it hasn't done any staining to the converter or anything, so I don't know. I feel like sometimes Sailor's warnings are a bit dire on their inks. They just don't want you to use pigmented or shimmer inks in pens and blame them for anything that might happen. But I haven't had anything go wrong with this one. Now, I have had it dry out a time or two because there was once I just left it uncapped. I don't know what I was doing. I think I just had it mildly capped like this, just kind of sitting on the desk. And I picked it up and went, oh, whoops. And it just needed a little drop of water right there on the nib slit, and it started writing up with no problem. So I haven't had any issues with this ink drying up or clogging or anything like that. So yeah, in a fine nib even, I think it's probably totally fine. So let's find out if this is waterproof. I think this is a very interesting ink, and I like the way it looks a whole lot. You can see there the chromatography for it while we're putting this here water on the dip test bit. You don't see too many waterproof reds. Whoa, that is doing nothing. That's really interesting. So thanks very much, Greg, for giving me this ink to try out. You can find these for about $25 in Japan. Of course, you get in the US, they're going to be a bit more probably. And I haven't really seen this for sale at any of the retailers, but it is a Bungubox exclusive. So you never know. Sometimes you'll find them, but most of the time, not so much. So if you find this, I'd say give it a shot. There actually are 3 of these Eternals, apparently. There's a blue, actually, what does it say there? First Love, Sunset, and, ooh, I don't know what the black is. That is extremely dark, and I can't actually read it, but seems pretty cool. Yeah, this did nothing. This is, wow, that's really waterproof. That's really waterproof. Good. Wow. What if I wipe it? All right, so if I wipe it, I can get it to move a little bit, but if I just get it wet and blot it off, there was no issue. So interesting. That is pretty darn good. Actually, you can see I started wiping the paper away. Yeah, so I was removing some paper there. Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Even then, red barely came up on here. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, good job, Bungubox, with this Eternal Sunset. And you can see here, there's just a little bit of movement. So it's not absolutely zero movement, as I've seen with a few other inks of this pigmented type, but you can definitely see how much red is down there just hanging out at the bottom. just a little bit moved. Now, I will say I have had some issues with this ink a little bit on some other papers where it took a little bit to dry, and you can see like it wanted to smear a little bit after the fact, just because I think it had dried up a little bit in the nib, and so I was getting extra pigment there, but I'm not getting anything like that here. So that's pretty good. Let's do it up here. Yeah, no, totally fine. So yeah, once it dries, it is really solid unless you rub the paper away. That was pretty impressive. Do we have any weird stuff on the back? No, totally fine back here too. That's a little bit of transfer from the facing page here. So yeah, looks good. All right, let's take a look at this on some other papers and take a look at it next to a bunch of other inks. Hold on just a sec. All right, so here it is on my 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper. This is just Staples copy paper, probably what you'll find in your office copy machine there. And you can see it's got a couple of little feathers here and there, which is nothing really to write home about for a paper this bad, but a little bit of feathering here and there. So not absolutely perfect. On the back, though, this is, I think, the best out of anything else on this page. Yeah, what was this one? This one's pretty good too. Franklin-Christoph Ink 24, so it was another one. But yeah, very, very strong performance here on this copy paper. I think it's very good, and I bet it's waterproof on here too, but this paper does not hold up well to water, so if I put water on that, I'm going to ruin this whole thing, so I'm not gonna. But judging from what it did on the Nebula paper, I think it's going to do well on there. Nice. All right, here we have it on some plotter paper. You can see over here, I decided to give this paper a try just to see what it was like. I haven't used the plotter paper a whole lot, but I was like, a lot of people are using plotter, and this is a very nice paper, and I want to see what this does. And it worked super well. No bleed through, nothing at all. Looks very nice on here, very red, a little bit of shine from that pigment action there. Let's see if I can make it smear. No, nothing. So that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah, very nice from this Kasamatala's fine nib on the plotter paper. Really good stuff. I like the way that turned out. Next up, this is one of my currently inked books. This is wheat straw paper here, and that's what it looks like on this. This is a very normal sort of paper, good for fountain pens, but not like coated or anything like that. You can see it actually looks like it's a little bit of a brighter red. That's kind of neat. Very neat. Also, I've had this in this pen since October. So when they're like, you have to use it all the time, like I use it fairly regularly, but not like every day or anything like that. And I haven't had any problems with it. So this one behaves very well in a pen. Lastly, for our papers, I've got it here in my Galen Leather Co. Everyday book. This is Tomoe River, the original recipe Tomoe River. And you can see on here, it's got a little bit more of that shine because it doesn't soak in really at all. And it's looking a little bit orange because of that, but it's definitely still a red. It's just kind of got a bit of a shine to it that's making it look that way. All right, let's look at a whole bunch of, comparable colors. All right, so there is Eternal Sunset there on this Colodex card, where it's looking very nice. You can see that shine is for sure there. Really nice shiny ink. Then we've got Schaefer Inferno, which is part of the newer set. I bought this a couple of years ago, and I want to say I bought this from Goldspot Pens. I got a bunch of bottles of these Schaefer inks, and they're the ones that come in a little pot with like the little inkwell on the side. I hope they keep making those, although I know they're bringing back Script with the new ownership, so I don't know. I hope they keep these up because they're really good. And there is Pannonia Odogivurosh, which is Devil Red, which is a really good-looking red. This one looks darker than Sunset because of the shine, I think. But if you tilt it a little bit, you can see it's quite close. So yeah, pretty darn good. Then I've got Robert Oster's Fire Engine Red, which is a little bit more orange than the Sunset here, but still in the same vein. And then lastly, this was so nice I pulled it twice, apparently. I don't know why I have two different samples of this. I'll whatever, man. But yeah, still looks good. How about that? All right, so there you go. That's Bungubox Eternal Sunset, which is a pigmented ink, and I think it's really good. It's rare to find a waterproof red, and I think this is very this has got a lot of good waterproof qualities. Don't like get it wet, let it sit there, and then smear it hard enough to rub through the paper. But if you just put water on it and just blot it up, and it'll be totally fine. So if you get a chance, check out this Eternal Sunset. It's good. Thanks very much, Greg. And thank y'all for watching. Y'all make stuff like this possible. And I appreciate every one of you. Think about becoming a patron if you're not already to support the channel. And, otherwise just like watch more videos from me. That'll also help with YouTube and stuff. So thanks very much. And until next time, peace out.